It's Tuesday, May 18th. Let's head into the K-Wave News Zoom room where Major Antone Aguon is standing by behind bars. I need to get a like the. Do we have a sound effect, sir? The
jail cell?
Yeah, the jail cell closing. Good morning, Major.
Good morning.
Wow, so is the prison buzzing right now because of this news about the stimulus? Because I'm hearing, what I'm tracking is that some inmates knew they could get it, some didn't.
Yes. Again, when this thing first, what happened when it first came out, we had some inmates' families that, I guess they filed on behalf of their loved one incarcerated, and they were asking us to have the inmates sign the tax returns, their 1040 form. But we at the time, this is during stimulus, the first round of stimulus, we didn't, we got guidance from the revenue tax, and at the time, not Guam, but just on the local federal side, and at the time, inmates at that time were not entitled to stimulus checks. I heard the federal system were paying out, and then they stopped it. But apparently after that, there was a lawsuit in the mainland that kind of changed all that. And so some inmates' family were aware of that, I guess, and they filed on behalf of their loved ones incarcerated. And so some made requests to bring it in, the document, and have them sign it, which we did, we allowed it. Some did it through their attorneys. Their attorneys would bring in the documents and have them sign it, and we allowed it. But, not everybody was informed, and, DOC never, we don't have any written guidance as far as how to handle this kind of situation or what we were supposed to do on our behalf to assist the inmates. So, I got my information from a tax preparer outside because I called one and I said, hey, do inmates really get tax returns? And the person said, yes, they can. But the family has to be the one to file it on their behalf, because obviously they can't leave the prison.
And so how many times did that happen?
I'm probably going to say maybe about a dozen times, just about a dozen times that various attorneys, family members have requested for them to sign a tax return. It's including inmates who have been in prison for 20 years. I mean, they could have been in jail for 20 years. They basically could qualify for this rebate, for this part of those, the federal government's stimulus.
Major, you were saying offline that you're not allowed to have money in prison if you're inmate or a detainee?
They're not. Inmates don't have any personal bank accounts in prison. We don't have a commissary. So for those that received it, again, they signed it over to the family cashed it, probably used it to purchase their incoming items. Some probably used it in their PayTel phone system, depositing into their phone account. They are allowed, $20 in quarters a month. So, maybe some use that to get those quarters for them and, for incoming. But other than that, that's all they're allowed.
Wow. Why is that?
Well, we have rules about them having money in their possession. One, it can be used to barter and trade within the prison. And there's no reason. The only thing we have in here is like Coke machines and the newspaper machine, PDN, where they can use that to buy the paper. Or we have a water machine, like they can, the purified water, so they can, some use the quarters to buy their own purified water. So that's what the quarters are used for. But they're only allowed at $20, in their possession at any time.
Major, so there was this, there was a federal lawsuit relative to the stimulus for the inmates, but since you're saying that, and correct me if I misheard you, but since you're saying that the Department of Corrections did not allow family members to bring by documents for inmates to sign off on in order that so they could get the stimulus, are you worried at all that there might be any kind of legal action coming down for depriving the inmates and their families of that opportunity?
No, Chris, because what happened was again, when we first denied it, we were under the belief they weren't entitled to it, and we didn't want to be really directly involved in any kind of inappropriate activity. We didn't really know about it, but as it became clear that they were eligible, and we did our research. I did authorize some that we declined to in the first time. They did come back in and have them sign the check later at a later date. So as far as I know, anyone that had a check, and if a family member does have a check that needs to be signed, we can accommodate them to drop off the check and have it signed. But again, they have to have the proper IDs and stuff too, because we're having an issue, right? For example, of one guy, the family filed their tax, but his ID, they don't have a driver's license, they have no birth certificate for this gentleman, and we did a certificate of identity based on our records. We have an MOU of Reverend Tax to honor our certificate of identity, but we only go off our records, what we have, what the court judgment says in our records. Apparently this guy has another name, the check is written in another name, but there's nothing we can do for that. I cannot certify that this is that person on that check. So I don't know what they're gonna do with that check, but I know we cannot certify that this is that individual. We don't have any record of him having his name spelled that way, the way it's spelled on the check.
Wow.
So for some, we may not be able to help.
Is that one of those AKAs, Major, where they?
Yeah.
So and guys, this is crazy. You talk to law enforcement, they'll arrest somebody, and they'll say, "Hey, what's your name?" And they'll say, "Oh, my name is J10 or whatever." Then they go, "Okay," and then they get a court case under that name. Then they're out and released, and they get whatever in trouble again. They get arrested. They say, "Hey, what's your name?" "Oh, I don't have any ID. My name is Fred Flintstone." And they enter a case under Fred Flintstone. And so you end up having these individuals who have multiple cases in the system under different names, right? This is a big issue if you talk to law enforcement.
That is correct, because when they come into our prison, 99% of them are not carrying any IDs at all. Right. And again, when GPD encounters them, they go off the first name. GPD will sometimes put John Doe if they can't verify it, but we have put it on our record anyway. And a lot of them, if they're in here 5, 6, 7, 10 years, by the time they get out, they don't have access to birth certificate or other identities, and there's other issues there. So right. That's their other challenge, trying to get back into their life.
What else is going on at the prison, Major?
We are doing vaccinations. So far as of yesterday, 115 people, detainees and inmates both, have been vaccinated. We're doing another round today. We have a total of 320 doses to administer. That was what given to us from public health. And then once that's done, we will go back and resurvey the remaining inmates to see who has changed their mind since then. We're also going to try to re-educate again, offer more educational material, and try to get them to, change their mind on, accepting the vaccine. And do another survey, and of course, if we have some more that want it, we're going to coordinate public health, get more vaccines, and vaccinate them, provide them with the vaccine. Plus, we have incoming that's going on until the 26th started May 14 until May 26. So we have the drop-off incoming that's ongoing. Just regular incoming.
What about any regular contraband coming in? What types?
In the last 2 weeks, I haven't had any reports of contraband coming in. We haven't got any reports, not to say that may not something come in, but as of now, I don't have any reports of anything being confiscated or found outside our perimeter.
Well, what vaccine is being administered to the inmates? Is it Johnson & Johnson?
I'm sorry, yes, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Any inmates decline receiving that vaccine because of the concerns that had been raised a while ago?
Yes, I mean some are hesitant because of what happened. Well, some are hesitant just vaccine altogether. Some just don't want to get it altogether, and some are hesitant probably because of the news regards to Johnson & Johnson. That's why it's imperative that we educate them. And try to encourage them. And if they still refuse, then that is their right. We can't force anyone to take the vaccine. but we highly try to encourage it because if we can, we're trying to shoot for at least 85% of our population being vaccinated. I mean, ideally, I'd like to get 100%, but once we're done vaccinating a good portion of the population, we're going to start looking at the visitation, right? We want to start looking at visitation and religious services, but we cannot open up that right now until we are sure that we have a safe population. For both the officers, the inmates, the staff, I mean, all of the ones that work here, the inmates and the inmates' family when they come and visit, So that's how we're trying to approach it, and hopefully more would some just don't want to do it no matter what. Yeah. They just don't want to do it.
I'm sorry. What did you say was the threshold that you guys are hoping to reach in terms of getting the population vaccinated to where you might be able to restart visitations?
In a perfect world, I would like 100% of my population. Oh. I know that's possibly not happen, but at least 85% of my population. Our population right now is about 554, 560. So if we can get 85% of them, and it fluctuates on a daily basis, but if we can get 85% of our population vaccinated, that would go a long way in us revisiting our visitation and other services that we provide.
What did you say you were at now?
Right now, we only have 320 inmates.
Yeah, what's the breakdown? What's the vaccination rate currently?
I did my numbers earlier, but I got to do the numbers right. We're still at around 50%, maybe.
Okay. Antone, what is the latest with the policies with regard to who's being confined at DOC and who's being booked and and sent back out into the community?
Right.
Has there been any updates to what you guys implemented last year because of the pandemic and the surge?
Yes, we've updated the directive. We added a few more charges. Again, this is all based on the vaccine that's taking place in Agana, and so we have updated it. And and we also consulted with GPD. And the director spoke to the GPD management about, some of our concerns. And you gotta remember, not all our clients or customers or inmates come from GPD. We have to worry about U.S. Marshals, immigration, Superior Court warrants, and all of that. So our population can really get pretty high. We have a limited space at the Agana facility where we quarantine the individuals. And so we have to be, we're being very cautious on, we don't want to receive people if they're just like theft of property or, smaller. I mean, I understand it's still a crime, but we're trying to manage our population. But we worked it out with GPD, and we redid some of the charges on which we would accept. And basically now to be honest, it's almost going to include every single person. I mean, we haven't had anybody turned away recently in the last few weeks.
Well, that's not good because it sounds like there's been a lot of serious crimes then.
Yeah.
I mean, we're taking everybody in basically at the end of the day. It's just about, probably if you're going to be confined for jaywalking, that won't happen. But everything else above that, we're taking you in. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can send you a copy of the memo if you like, that we updated, and you can look at the chart.
Can you? You don't mind? You're not going to get in trouble though with the director, right?
No, of course not.
Okay.
It's not private. It's a policy.
That's the people's memo, Major.
That is the people's memo, right?
Amen.
We got the people's prison.
So what was the reason then behind changing it?
Well, again, when originally it happened November, again, the situation we're in at the time, and again, we had a few, like I told you, GPD had spoken to our director about some of their concerns and issues. So we decided to just sit down and we revisited. We asked GPD for their input and give us a list of their charges that they feel should be. And of course, the top charges were no question, aggravated assault, things like that, criminal sexual conduct, family violence. There's no question about that. It was just the little smaller charges that we were concerned about. But we worked it out with them. They gave us their list. And so I think we have a better understanding now of, what we're trying to do here. So we haven't had any complaints, at least I haven't received any phone calls. We also put in there that the only person that can actually deny an entry would be the warden. So if there is a question during the middle of the night about confining somebody, they have to call the warden, and he has to give the final approval whether to accept or not. That's only for the more rare cases.
Is it a long list that was added on?
Maybe 16, 17 different charges, but I can send it to you.
What was it? What was the previous list? How many were on there?
5, maybe it's 5 or 6.
I think it was family violence, well, that was
DUI.
DUI.
I would think homicide would be
Yeah.
on the previous. Yeah, aggravated.
And then we
assault.
adjusted to warrants. I can just send you the whole thing. There were 3 different memos, and I can send you the whole thing.
Major,
No problem.
I'm sorry, because we had a question here. What type of incoming is allowed for drop-off?
The incoming, sir, is just the regular personal hygiene. There are some items like popcorn and some other snacks that they are allowed to have. The list, I believe, it should be on our website already. We should have uploaded to our website. But if they have any issues, they can call the visitation section here and ask them about it. But all the inmates are made aware of it, so the inmates are the ones responsible for telling their family what can and cannot come in. We put that back on the inmates, and to let their family know what they can and cannot come in.
Right on. Are you still hiring?
There is still announcement at DOA. If those are interested, DOA just did, I believe, written test last week. They did a written test for some applicants. I think their physical is like the first week of June. So we still are trying to bring in a few more officers.
Any update on the master plan?
No, ma'am. The gentleman is still off island working on it, doing some write-ups and stuff. We received some of the write-ups and some of the stuff already, but as far as completing it, just for our review. But he's still working on it. Hopefully, he'll be on here by August, and we'll have a finished product by then.
All right. Thanks, Antone.
Anything you're not telling us?
Not anything I don't know.
Okay. Thank you, Major.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime.
That's that. There you go, Major Antone Aguon.